This Sunday, chapter 49, entitled Operation. The operation was so serious that Sandy had to be taken there, and then as the cancer had spread, "We'll be operating on her tonight," the vet said, laying a friendly hand on Simon's shoulder. "We'll do our best," he added, and then they were both gone. Simon stared at the floor, distraught. Why does this keep happening, he thought, just when things were going well? He was beginning to feel that he was cursed. He was overcome with emotion, and the tears fell down his cheeks and onto the floor. He knew life wouldn't be the same without Sandy. Life was supposed to be enjoyable, not endurable, he often thought sadly. Where's God now that I need him? He asked no one in particular. Rage rose inside him like a volcano, and he snapped, throwing the cup hard at the wall and watching it shatter into fragments. After that uncharacteristic act of rage, he had calmed down a little. He decided to go outside as he knew that he couldn't stay in. As soon as he opened the door, the heavy rain hit him in the face. Typically, he thought, but he ploughed on anyway, as giving up on life was not an option, even though there were many times when he had wanted to. He needed to see Emily, and he had to talk to her, and he knew that she would be just as upset as him. By the time he got to where she was staying, he was drenched and angry. She let him in, and by the look of him, she knew something was wrong. She put the kettle on, and he told her about Sandy, and his voice was breaking, and she put her arm around him, and by the time that he'd finished, they were both in tears. The operation was going to be performed the next day. Simon was going mad with worry. He knew he couldn't go on without Sandy, as she had saved him and given him a reason to live. Emily put on the radio to cut through the sadness that was filling the room, and they lay in each other's arms until they fell asleep. When they woke up feeling somewhat disoriented to face another day, after a hearty breakfast, they walked into town and onto the vet's surgery, and when they got there, the waiting room was filled with sad-looking parents, and there was even sadder-looking children. A few had their beloved cats and dogs beside them in baskets. A lot of the dogs looked sleepy, as if they had been medicated. Every now and then the door swung open and a white-robed vet with sobbing children and adults would pass by. Obviously, after some terrible news, it was a worrying scenario. The minutes ticked past so slowly, it was agony waiting, and then finally the vet came out, and he wasn't smiling. "I'm afraid," he added, "there have been some complications, and Sandy will have to stay in for a few more days for tests." "The cancer has spread," he said ominously. Emily began crying, and it wasn't long before Simon did the same, and he wasn't embarrassed. The next few days went by in a blur of depression and worry, and each time the news on Sandy was more and more worrying. Emily did all that she could to help, and they grew closer. There was a bond between them that was beautiful. They sat together like keys on a piano, each one complementing the other.